never sets. The empire breathes, but it won't forget. Rotting wolves and shifting sands, a broken crown in cursed hands. Dreams bleed into waking night, where truth and terror intertwine. Hex by hex, the map unfolds, 1,000 secrets left untold. Step inside the endless war, what you were won't matter anymore. Welcome to the undying sun, where every shadow weighs a ton. From level 1 to kingdom's bind, every step is hard-earned. Dream, walk, fight, and crawl below, through mega dungeons that twist and grow. This is more than just a game. Remember the empire, remember the name. They don't call us heroes, they whisper our name. Mud on our boots and a curse in our veins. Steel in the dark where the torchlight dies. Gold in the dirt and a bargain with lies. Roll it, break it, bleed for the win. Luck's just a knife that cuts from within. We are the Rotigers, coin, blood and bone. Fight for the grave or die for the throne. No songs, no crowns, just scars that remain. Rotigers rise.
Let's get this bitch fun today.
Again.
Watch your mouth, Hunter. This is a family ad.
Everybody fights.
Wait, a new epic TTRPG? And it's available on BackerKit?
The Parlor stream with a whole serene lane, and every week we play a different new game. Amazing guests, but why we do not know. We're just lucky dudes with some awesome ex-bros. Dice Cowboys on Rumble we ride, and you want it as our ride or dies. Want it to throw the dice.
Welcome to another Paddy's Parlor. Today we're doing a State of the Hobby roundtable with some various creators, con organizers, players, artists. You'll know most of the panelists, but we'll go ahead and go through and do some brief introductions and then dive into this. Hey everybody, how's it going?
Hello.
So I guess, Frank, we'll start with you. This was actually kind of your idea to touch base with various groups and see what the current state of the hobby is from different perspectives. So who are you if people didn't catch Yang's stream or didn't catch our last jousting episode?
Well, my name's Frank Avila, and first of all, I want to thank you guys for the opportunity to be on here tonight, just to talk about the state of the hobby. I am the TTRPG producer over at Mad Quill Comics. Uh, we are a Canadian independent comic book company that's looking to get into, or we are getting into, the TTRPG space. And I also hang out over at Troller Games quite a bit and help them out with convention stuff and a project that we'll talk about later on tonight.
Awesome. And over on the far right, we have somebody you may recognize, somebody who used to actually have this stream and own it and run it, but is kind of ditched out on us. So he's not coming in as a host this time. He's coming in as an artist in the creative space. He's coming in as a merch vendor. He's coming in as somebody who plays in a bunch of games. So Paddy, why don't you introduce yourself since you haven't been on in 20 years?
Yes, that is correct. I am Paddy of the Parlor, and I successfully Tom Sawyered my best friends into painting this fence that we call Paddy's Parlor. If you guys get that reference. No, I'm a writer, I'm a designer, I am a commissioned artist. I've worked for many beloved people in the industry like Chubby Funster, Pulpomic Press, Dystopian Dawn. Hopefully we get to see Tony this evening. We'll see. But yeah, I'm a big lover of games. I make them. I've inspired my children to make their own games now, so I get to play test all their stuff. And I am here as a panelist instead of the host of my own show.
Right. And then right below me, we have the lovely Miranda, a.k.a. Wargamergirl, who has her own con, who attends tons of cons, who I would assume war games as a girl.
Somewhat. That's the theory.
He thinks she warriors. She plays terrible games, though.
Oh my gosh. So I play 40K and I play War Machine, and I get so much grief for it. And then at Valhalla, I play Bolt Action. Do you hate that one too, Jeremy?
Yeah, he does.
Even though I've won the last 2 times I played in it.
Yes, I run the YouTube channel Wargamergirl. I'm a content creator. I run the gaming retreat, Valhalla Gaming Retreat, and then I also am involved in the Nova Open Convention, which will be taking place next week in DC.
Nice. And then Jeremy, I mean, he's a YouTube Rumble content creator, and he has written a few things. He's been in
Rumble content.
He's been in a couple Dragon magazines with some partial stuff. He's done some play testing. He used to run some Adventurers League stuff, and he's a longtime wargamer, and he's a hobby store attender. Like he's down at the game shop probably.
Used to run a game shop in El Paso, Texas.
Nice.
Actually, how I met Miranda.
Right, we can probably talk about the difference you see when you go to a game store now versus when you were actually running one back in El Paso. I mean, we're in Watsy country, so I'm sure it's way different, but I'm sure the stores in general are different. So with that done, where do you guys want to start? Should we start with the I don't know if we want to call it trash, the direction that some of these big companies are taking with our beloved products? Do we want to somebody pick a topic and let's
just start with
okay
Head
with
in
that
the right
like what's
direction. How do you feel about it?
Well, first I want to know where JP's watching from, because he's not in either
the chat
your
is rolling.
He's not in either of your guys' YouTubes. And he's not in Paddy's
my
Rumble. YouTube? No, I checked both your guys's. Oh, he's in mine. I didn't check my own.
Ultra says
I didn't check my own YouTube.
So Jeremy cannot be trusted, for he is confused.
And he says that's not Jeremy. That's a shorn sheepdog.
An expert opinion.
The real Jeremy has a beard and long hair. I agree, and I keep putting him in the thumbnail with the beard and long hair, and I get crap for it.
Miranda looks so lost in that thumbnail. She's like,
okay, hold on.
It's appropriate.
I'm gonna exercise post-host abilities here, and we're gonna start with Frank by saying, Frank, how do you feel about it? How do you feel about the tabletop gaming hobby as a whole?
I think we're in a bit of a renaissance when it comes to the TTRPG space at the moment. I think WotC has no I guess WotC can't do any worse than what they've already done, so they can just build from where they are today. And I think at the last big at Gen Con, when their big announcement, I think they are trying to move in the right direction. Will they get there? Well, all we can do is wait and see, because I think everybody here tonight has kind of been through the ringer when it comes to WotC and what they're doing and what they're putting out there. For myself, being an independent TTRPG producer, we have to look at other avenues, other systems. I don't think when it comes to being a content creator, I don't think the world needs another rule set. I think the world needs more campaign settings for people to play in.
Right. Campaign settings, agnostic adventure settings. Yeah, definitely. There's so many, and there's so many great options out there already. I mean, there has been since the 70s, right? Like if you want a cool game, like there's cool games out there. But if you don't want to homebrew everything yourself, where's my settings? Where's my, right?
Maybe not so much a rule, not the world needs more rule sets, but what do you think about IPs? Because people want something that's cool and interesting to play. Like, I don't know, I think of World of Warcraft, because Lord knows I spent way too much time in my life playing that. But it's such an easy world to jump into and do your own thing in, but it's sort of in the sandbox of something that's familiar.
Right.
Like,
right.
I feel like maybe some more stuff like that. I mean, I think there's a Witcher RPG. Obviously, there's a 40K RPG. You got Pathfinder and traditional D&D. But how is the world of like IP doing for that?
Well, I think. Sorry, go ahead, Jeremy.
Well, seeing as Wizards of the Coast announced World of Warcraft 5th edition or 5.5 edition as one of their upcoming settings, and all I saw was people hating on it on X, and I'm like, did you guys not remember that they already did this during 3.5?
Right.
Same with Star Wars. They had a Star Wars setting during 3rd edition, and people bought those huge. I don't know. I don't get it. It's like people have a short memory.
But why does everybody have to come out and hate on something when it gets announced? Right?
Well, you're going to Twitter.
Well,
right.
First of all,
yeah.
But if you take that model that they're using, so what they've announced this year and what they plan on doing. So if you take Magic the Gathering has been doing it for years. All Magic does now is buy licenses for IPs that already exist, and they make a ton of money. That's what keeps Hasbro afloat. People think, oh, no, it's not. It's something else. No, Magic the Gathering keeps that company afloat. So why wouldn't D&D take the same approach and start putting IPs out? World of Warcraft, Star Wars, Call of Duty, whatever they can get their fingers on, they're going to put up there. So just let people play the games that they want to play. Like, everybody wants to hate on everything, and everybody wants to jump on WotC for doing everything wrong. Just play the game you want to play. If it's Ninja Turtles, if it's My Little Pony, play whatever game you want to play. Just roll some dice and have some fun. Like, I don't understand why everybody needs to jump on the latest announcement like you know better. Like, no, give them a chance. Let's see what happens.
Right.
So
Yeah, let's
that a little bit to throw out there. That's more of a cultural thing, right? I mean, that's like the state of the gamers topic, which is a little different than what we've had in the last 10 to 15 years that I've been messing with this, probably longer for some of you.
I would so we had Professor Dungeon Master on a little while ago, and we lightly discussed the announcement of Dark Sun. And I had asked him because we didn't ask him specifically about some of the pushback that he had got for his Deathbringer TTRPG release. But we had all seen it being there, that a lot of people on Reddit decided that the tone, the themes, the art direction of Deathbringer had gone back to a toxic masculinity type of thing, only for him to run a very successful Kickstarter. And I think right towards the end of the Deathbringer Kickstarter, I don't think it was finished yet, but right towards the end at Gen Con, they announced Dark Sun, which immediately shows a lot more of the Deathbringer type themes of over the top violence and so on and so forth, which is really funny because like the Deathbringer art that I've seen isn't necessarily violent. It is tintillating, and it's really engaging to look at. But I digress. But to go back to the Dark Sun thing, and I had asked him, I said, why do you think it is important that we keep the Frank Frazetta gritty stuff like Dark Sun alive? And do you think we are slowly getting back to the type of more mature kind of things that we could talk about in our culture? And he responded to me with no, we are not slowly returning. We're returning at like a breakneck speed. And I'm not sure yet, because I see what I see online. And when I go to town, to my local game stores, a lot of the discourse that I see happening online is not what's happening at local game stores.
Right.
So I'm really conflated with, I live in North Idaho, in Coeur d'Alene, the bigger town. I'm sure a lot of those people are online, but in my smaller town areas, people that are familiar with nerd stuff, they're not online people. Like not only are they not terminally online, they just are not online people at all. And I'm wondering if we're missing something there.
I think we're the 1% of the 1%. This little Twitter group that talks like we're not, even though we play and we go out and we're doing things, we're not the average consumer that's out there. We're the Uber consumer, super in depth, like we've kind of built our lives around this little thing. So yeah, what is realistic? What is it like out there? Is what they're doing exactly what players want and what's going to sell? It's hard to say.
I mean, that's where you're going to have to look at the numbers. Trying to remember what, Jeremy, maybe you remember, there was some talk about how GW had done in one of their last sales reports. And I don't think they've suffered too much, even for all the price hikes and all of that. So
I
there's
think
all
they're
this...
still making hand over fist. They're making more money this year than they did last year.
And so, at some point the data comes out and says like, okay, yeah, if you were to equate it to movies, you go online and everyone's complaining about the Odyssey. Well, it still cracked $1 billion. It still has gone gangbusters. People are still going to go see it because people are still going to go see what they're going to see, regardless of what the online echo chamber says. And it's not like, I don't want to say the internet isn't real life, because obviously there's hopefully a majority of real humans on there making their opinions. But it becomes easy to complain. That's like the natural, comfortable thing to do. That's how you fit in online. But then you go to the game store and you don't actually want to be that douchebag coming in and just complaining about everything, like comic book guy from The Simpsons. You usually want to go there and have a good time with your friends. And so that ends up being like a really positive experience. And usually the same with conventions too. Usually people are pretty, unless you get an announcement that's like really, think of BlizzCon, what don't you guys own a cell phone? Like announcements like that where you really turn the audience against them. I think for the most part you end up with an audience that wants to like the product, and you just as long as the company isn't just making it too hard to like the product, it can endure a lot.
Right. And I know, like with Dark Sun, there was a bunch of excitement. There was a bunch of, oh, can they actually do this? Oh, can they actually pull it off? And like Professor Dungeon Master was saying, whoever's in charge, this stuff's been in the works for over a year, and he really thinks it is heading in the right direction. And so we hold out hope, but then we see an announcement that, hey, we're removing slavery, one of the biggest parts of the settings, because it's problematic. And then it's like, okay, like, are you doing the right thing? Are you not doing the right thing? Are you taking baby steps towards it? Like, what's the,
So it's going back to a darker, like, are we thinking like, I'm not super familiar with the RPG world, but is like Dark Sun more like hardcore, like Conan, Life is Hard kind of RPG or aesthetic?
Even harder than Conan. There is no metal, there is no water, there is no magic. Magic has been drained from the land. It's Psychonics, the big first Psychonics campaign setting. There's like 9 kings, and each of these kings are like evil sorcerer lords, and all the magic that in the world is basically controlled by them, and the magic is that they control is basically drained all living parts out of the world. So it's uber grim dark. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Well, we know that there's an
they're slave kings, like their name was the Slave Kings. So like they were. They had pit arenas. Most everybody always started off as a pit fighter in the arena. You'd have to try to escape and get out into the desert and find some oases to try to live. That's a lot of what Dark Sun was. And it had a late 3rd edition and early 4th edition modules. And
But it was always pretty niche, even at the time, right? I mean, obviously it wasn't.
some people would.
I mean, it's not Forgotten
loved
Realms.
it and sorted. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's not the
Yeah.
Forgotten
Like-
Realms.
Yeah.
Not Greyhawk, but it had its good amount of fans.
It was probably
I
up
think it
there
was more
with,
popular than Planescape and Planetscape and some of the
Yeah.
other.
It's
you
probably
know.
up there with like Dragonlance and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Right,
okay.
right.
Same level as
Something you
Dragonlance,
Would have heard of.
Mystera. And Mystera
Well-
probably has a little bit higher.
Without belaboring the point too much, I think like Dark Sun, because of its content warnings, you know, especially at the time that like TSR was dealing with stuff as they would publish. Well, hold on, was Dark Sun TSR?
Dark Sun
No,
was under
no.
TSR, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So anyway,
Yeah, second edition.
like especially like during that point, you know, it's like the mature setting that it would have gotten a wider audience if it didn't have that kind of stigma with it. Because
Right.
JP pointed out Larry Brahm's art wasn't even that risque in comparison to what they showed off today. But
let's not forget, we went through this whole labeling process in the record industry too, right? You used to go to the record
Right.
store and get your tapes, and we'd have the big warning stickers on it.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've
Yeah.
been down this road. Like WotC can do the same thing. Slap it with a bit, like they said in the press conference, they were going to slap a big old label on it saying 18 plus, right? Like,
Right, which would be fine. That would be a fine avenue to take. Slap mature on there, slap parental advisory, slap whatever, but give us the setting as it's intended. Don't do that and then strip it of everything that made it what it is.
Like sterilize it.
Right, don't sterilize it, especially if you're going to slap the label on it. You know, pick one.
yeah,
So that
100%.
depends on what the brand wants to be known for, right?
Right.
And so let me ask this to the audience. Do you have more confidence in WotC making a proper Dark Sun, or would you prefer if they were like, we don't really like this, we're going to sell off that IP to a random other company to try and, maybe not a random other company, but like another company to try and bring the audience maybe what they want?
I mean, I think most of us want WotC just to sell off the entire D&D brand to somebody else. So you're asking the wrong crowd here, but the chat can chime in.
100%. But they're doing that already too, right? Because they announced that Paizo and all these other companies are jumping on board to do stuff for them as well. So the option, like you're saying, the option is there. Just hand it over to somebody else to
Right.
Black Dice Incorporated. Let them put out what they want to put under the license of Dark Sun, and let the audience decide if it's going to be successful or not.
I think that actually could be something that Wizards could look into. Like they have the G.I. Joe IP, Hasbro, and they had another company, Renegade Studios, make the RPG for G.I. Joe instead of having Wizards of the Coast, who's an RPG.
Yeah, they could
company.
totally license
Make-
the IP out, and then we could get the game we want, and they can still make their money on it without having to cross that political line that they don't want to cross. I mean, that is definitely a very viable option.
Kind
Yes,
of,
sir.
because just licensing something out doesn't absolve you of everything to do with that, whatever
Right.
that company is going to do, and usually you have some hand in it. And part of the reason I asked is because I played a bootleg version of World of Warcraft for a while, like a year ago, and it was the best experience ever because Blizzard didn't have their grubby hands like
Little
molesting
turtle wow.
the original IP.
Yeah, she was in Turtle WoW until they closed it
Yeah,
down.
that's
During
that's
Valhalla.
getting big, or it was big.
It was
Yeah.
big, and then it
And
caught
that's
fire,
why they
and you
closed
know, there was a
I
lot.
mean, I gotta
of things
ask,
going on.
Horde or Alliance? Were we in the
Alliance,
same
all
guild?
the
Do we
way.
know each other? Oh, Alliance.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you were bad guy. That's okay. Okay.
But,
For the Horde, 100%.
For the Horde.
All right, I have to leave now. I'm done with this conversation.
But one of
Well,
the things
okay,
that
so-
happened, right, is
Yeah.
that the server got shut down, and there was a whole lawsuit, and now Blizzard's announcing, oh well, we're going to do like a Classic Plus thing, where they're probably going to try and incorporate the things Turtle WoW had. And I have zero
Right.
confidence that they're going to do it in any way that won't suck, because I think Blizzard fundamentally does not know how to make a good game anymore.
Right.
And as an
right.
audience person, I'm like, I will not give you my money. And literally, I'm just following the Turtle WoW people, waiting for them to make a game, and I will go follow and support their original game because I like their sensibility. So I think part of that is the audience confidence in the sensibility and the trust in that company.
Not even with Chris Metzen coming back.
No, because I mean he's coming back. I don't know. I haven't been following it too much with Blizzard, but I've quit Warcraft like at least a dozen times in my life.
How intertwined? How intertwined? Because I don't play video games much at all. As a matter of fact, I don't even read as much video game news. But just as a side point, how intertwined do you think TTRPGs and video games are now as a culture moving forward? Because I mean, they used to be, RPGs were ahead of video games, and now RPGs seem like they're following video games.
Well, TTRPGs are how you get back to human interaction. Video games become so they're all multiplayer, but you never see the other person. It's like,
well, that's because they stopped
people.
all chat rooms because everyone was getting banned every day from voice chat.
Right. Or worse things if you're in the Roblox
and make derogatory comments about their mothers.
Universal Night, I don't know what that word means, by the way. Maybe Paddy does.
But I mean, there was a whole golden age, re-renaissance of board games because people, I think, really did actually want to physically hang out again. And we kind of destroyed that pandemic and lockdowns and all of that. But I think people still crave that, which I think is a strength for TTRPGs.
Right.
And it goes back. I think it goes back to the IP itself, right? Depending what the IP is and what the market is, because you see a lot of companies now trying to play both sides of the fence, right? You have your game, and there's always talk of like Elden Ring, turning Elden Ring into a TTRPG, Dark Souls coming over, becoming a TTRPG. So there's that element where the lifespan of a video game kind of slows down, and those licensing companies look to what we turn to a TTRPG, because that's the next step from playing in front of a screen to playing at a table with people.
Yeah, just something I was thinking about. And Jeremy, Universal Night was saying ActiBlizzCon, which is the amalgamation of Activision, Blizzard.
It's just Microsoft.
And yeah, so I think that's where he was going with that. I don't know. It doesn't seem quite that sanitized. I mean, if we're talking about like the pendulum shifting from I noticed that there's this objective now. It's no longer, and this is saying a lot for me because I think to the chagrin of a lot of my friends, I'm a huge proponent of like the culture war type stuff. But I certainly don't like
White Dwarf.
Thanks. White Dwarf Summer. Woo! But it's one of those things where it's like I don't like it when I see people like buy my game because it's non-woke or buy my game because it is woke. I want to buy your game because it's a good game. And I've gotten myself into a little bit of hot water because I'm not necessarily a prude, but I'm like, look, you putting big boobs and butts in your game doesn't sell me on your game, right? Because I will tell you this, that the sexual tantalizing images is really what got us to the point where it's like, well, Game of Thrones is only good because we got to see Emilia Clarke naked 1,000 times. You know what I mean? Nothing else was good about that show.
So is that even good?
I don't know. I didn't pay that much attention. But
it's supposed to be a 14-year-old girl. That's the worst part about it.
So anyway,
I mean, what that Euphoria show also took off. I mean, there is that element, but gaming always originally appealed to the folks who felt sort of rejected by the rest of society. I think it's fair to say, like the RPGs, the war games, they were for people who weren't going to be going on dates on Friday, or they just were the social rejects. So yeah, I mean, they're gonna like some of the scantily clad women in the the Conan scenarios. I don't know that like maybe we've overindulged in it, but I don't think like getting away from it completely is reasonable either. It's still a factor. It is an aspect of the human condition, and that's part of what makes stories interesting.
I think that's what I'm getting at is it's swung too far. You know what I mean? Like we used to use those things as an enhancement to the story, not like when you, and I say this a lot, is Hercules' Legendary Journeys. You know what I mean? Like I will never complain about seeing Xena in her battle garb or Aphrodite. And I'm like, if that was a primetime television show, you know what I mean? Like everybody got to watch that show. Now what I'm saying is don't
I'd watch Deathstalker before I watch Hercules, just so you know.
Hercules is fantastic. You shut your mouth, Jeremy. But
that's what I'm
it's
saying.
Not Deathstalker.
Deathstalker's fine. The last one was okay. It had some really great
except for the newest one. The newest one wasn't that great.
Yeah.
But I think that's what I'm just talking about. Is I just really want people to get back to the art form, not I can outdo this particular thing rather than them. But
in either direction though.
Yeah.
In either direction. Like let's get the pendulum more back to the middle. Yeah.
Well,
sure.
and that's where people just need to calm hell down because they currently cannot. Because the gratuitous stuff has gotten to a weird, like, gross level. I mean, Flo was even just pointing out in the chat, she's like, there's gratuitous nudity, but it's usually of like distinctly unattractive kind. There's a certain amount of like, look at this horrific version of sexuality that I think shows that we are not in a healthy place.
And one of my biggest examples, and I was really curious about Frank getting kind of really into this space, but I think about BioShock. You remember, like I was a huge fan of BioShock, and one of the audio recordings that I remember is the surgeon, and he's like, everything's too beautiful, everything's too symmetrical, everyone's same. I want something different. And then we look at how like they mutilated themselves in order to stand out because we couldn't just stick a hard line and be like, oh, this is what's good. And I 100% agree with JP Got Rockets. Keisto was way hotter than Xena. But Frank, you're just getting into the publishing space, or?
Yeah, so Feral started off as a comic book series. So last December at a convention, I met the artist Kevin, and I started talking to him, and I actually walked away from the booth at the beginning, and then I was walking back to the hotel, and something just kind of popped back in my head. So I went back and I started talking to him. I said, hey, your stuff, like if you look at Kevin's artwork, it resonates with a lot of people. His line work, his art style just gives to the TTRPG space. And I said, listen, you have, at that time, you have a bestiary, you have the first comic. Have you guys ever thought about taking this into the TTRPG space? And it was around, like I said, around Christmas time, kind of went back and forth. He said, I'll reach out back to you after Christmas where things die down and we can talk again. So we started talking again, led into the new year where I met Mike, the writer. And I started giving him the same pitch. I said, would you consider taking this IP and bridging the gap over to the TTRPG space? And both of them are fairly, they played, but they're not into the space. So I kind of gave them my sales pitch. I said, listen, what I'm willing to offer to you guys. If you're interested, I can jump on board. And then they brought me on board as a TTRPG producer. We just had a successful Kickstarter last month for the second comic. And then this upcoming October, we are taking Feral, the comic, and turning it into a full-fledged TTRPG space.
Nice.
What is different about how we're doing is we're making our world book a campaign setting. So you'll get the world book, and then you get to choose what system you want to play in. So if you want to play under Siege, under Troll Lords, Castles and Crusades, or Amazing Adventures, we will have a supplement that you can add to the world book that has all the stat blocks for that system. If you want to play 5e, we'll have the stat blocks for 5e. If you want to play Shadow Dark, we will have the stat blocks ready. So the player's book will be system specific, but our world book will be system agnostic. So you can take our world book and dump it to any system that you want to play it in. So, and again, if you don't know, it's about werewolves in the fur trade in the 1800s, 16 to 1800s in Northern Ontario, and we're heavily on folklore. So it's a historical fantasy with the fantasy element being we are taking these folklore stories of our native people coming over from Europe, coming to a strange land. They're bringing their stories, their superstitions, and that's how we're telling our story is through folklore and a survival horror where you're trying to survive off the land during the 1600s to the 1800s.
Okay.
Sounds pretty metal, actually.
Very cool. Yeah, it does sound super exciting, and the art is fabulous. Yeah. And I know Frank's really good at the different rules conversions and whatever. Yeah, it should be a cool product. So definitely check it out if you haven't. So what about the con scene? I know a lot of you attend a ton of cons. I've only done some online cons, even though I'm in PAX Central up here. I've wanted to go. Now I don't know if I would want to go. Times have changed. Miranda runs a gaming retreat.
I do.
It's not a convention.
It's not a convention. It is very, very
Dude, it's still
but
much
it
more
is
relaxing that way.
It is, but it isn't. Yeah.
No,
So how do we feel like what are you guys' experiences attending? Plus you go to a lot and you help with some other ones. What are your experiences attending? How have things changed? What's the general feeling? What's it like setting something like that up? Frank, I don't know if you've ever done like booths there. What's it like selling products? How is it meeting people?
So here it's different. Like up here in Canada, our convention scene is a lot different what I've experienced so far in the United States. Our conventions are usually, when it comes to TTRPGs, it's a growing community at the moment. There isn't a long-term convention like Gen Con or Gary Con up here. Everything is on a scale that's a little smaller, and people are just wetting their feet when it comes to TTRPG cons. Our biggest cons are what we call pop culture cons, where we get a combination of comic books, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, 3D printing stuff. So it's a wash of a lot of things in one space. So for us at Mad Quill, yeah, we've done well at conventions. We sold our first Niagara Falls. We did extremely well over the weekend, getting people to the booth. Saturday we had over 7,000 people go through the booth on a Saturday, which is our biggest. Next to Fan Expo, it's probably the next biggest comic convention up here in Niagara Falls. So it's interesting because again, you're when it comes to TTRPG space, there isn't a big scene. So when you're introducing this product to people, you're selling it on a look. First and foremost, it's the look of the book, the look of the art. That's what draws people to your booth. So we've tried to always make sure our booth has banners and it kind of sticks out. Either we're on a corner or we're like the second booth in. Just as people are coming through the aisles, they notice our booth. So as a vendor, it can be difficult because you're selling yourself the whole weekend. You're selling your product. You're pushing your product. You're trying to get as much promotional stuff in people's hands just so they come back the next day or they come back throughout the weekend to visit your booth again. So, but on the other end, when I've been in the States and I've done Gary Con and I'm going to Page next year, I'm going to Arcada Con, I'm going to Troll Con next year as well. So last year for me, when I was at Gary Con, it was a different feel because you walk in there and that's all you get at Lake Geneva. It's from the moment you walk through the doors to the moment you leave, it's nothing but TTRPGs, right? So you find your tribe. Like I told my girlfriend, she came down with me last year, and I said, after my first day, I says, I found my people. Like I found my tribe, right? Because whatever was going outside those walls wasn't brought into the convention. You were just there at the game to sit around a table, roll some dice, and have fun with some people.
And just relate to them. Yeah.
So it wasn't Twitter. It was the real,
the real world,
the real community where we're all there to hang out and game and have fun. No drama.
We did have a Rumble rant. It's Forgiven Felon wants to know, Wargamergirl, are you excited for the Mark IV Protectorate of Menoth?
I mean, I really am hoping they're going to bring dinosaurs. I know they keep saying they're not going to, but I keep wish casting that they bring the dinosaurs in from zoo, and I want Tristan Durant to come back from Zoo and reclaim Menoth. I think that would be a fantastic story. But yes, I am curious to see what it is they do.
What
I've
if
been
they
enjoying Mark
are-
IV. I've even been gaming it. Yes.
What if they are writing giant lizards? They're just not calling them dinosaurs because
Oh,
dinosaurs.
they're gonna be like, oh, they're Seraphonies.
Yeah, there you go.
No.
Great big phonies.
We'll see. We'll see how good the direction. They all look like Dracodiles. Pretty cool.
Also,
So-
just I posted the numbers for I'm not Wizards. Games Workshop in the Rumble chat. I can't post in the YouTube chat. But just as a reference, they only made like 200 million, roughly 270-ish million. Wizards of the Coast had 2.187 billion in revenue last year, up 45% year over year.
Yeah.
So-
So I mean, and that's where the data comes out to like, well, we can feel how we feel about it, but they're doing fine. And could they be doing better? And could they be making better choices? Absolutely. But why would they listen to some schmucks on the internet when they're doing that well?
And I think I was watching somebody on YouTube break down all the different games that were played at Gen Con, like the top 10 RPGs, and the top 7 were the different like versions of D&D. So like
Right.
nothing even got close. Shadow Dark was like 6th or 7th. It only beat like 4th edition D&D.
If I recall, Professor Dungeon Master did that breakdown. Diversity in Dragons might have as well. But I mean, going to these cons, do you hear the same type of chatter? Like just in passing, are you hearing people talk about, oh man, you know, the whatever artist that they got for Dark Sun isn't Larry Brom, and Brom is still alive. Why didn't they bring him back like they brought Tony Dizzarelli back for Planescape? Like what happened there? Or, you know, do they talk about Knolls being player races, or I could think of like a million different things. Meriliths having top surgery scars and so on and so forth, blah blah blah.
I think for the most part, people who go to conventions, they're already spending their money to enjoy their hobby. So they want to go there and enjoy the hobby. And so I think a lot of stuff probably gets glossed over, ignored, or they're like, look, I don't know about all that stuff. I just want to play my little wood elf or drow or whatever. And as long as they still have an avenue to do it, they're going to have fun. You go to a convention, usually you're signing up to play with a dungeon master and have a 4-hour session or do a little one-shot campaign. And I think for the most part, until people get really pissed drunk, like people have a really good time at the conventions and just enjoying that gaming side. Saltiness you usually see in the high-end competition side. Sorry, go ahead.
I do want to give a quick shout out to Iceman, who just gifted 20 subscriptions in Rumble. That is a huge thing. Iceman is like one of our angel investors. The dude descends from the heavens, blesses us with Rumble rants and gifted subscriptions. And one of the best places, if you want to try to catch the mythic Iceman, is on Fridays in DJ Master Cheesus's live streams. That's at Synth Tracks over on Rumble Studio. So big thank you to Iceman for being one of the biggest certified big Parlor peeps. That's right. Iceman is a certified big peepee in the chat. Everyone who was gifted a subscription, make sure you tell them thank you very, very, very much.
Forgiven Felon, I did see your Rumble ride. I answered. I want to see dinosaurs. But yeah, I'll see what Mark IV brings for Protectorate. I want to see Tristan Durant come back from Zoo and reclaim Mena. That's the Protectorate. Because nobody else has claimed it.
I just want to see the Butcher break free from those jerks and become the leader of all of...
The leader of the Orgoth?
No, leader of...
The leader of all of Imran?
All of Imran! The Butcher.
I just want him to die at the
I'll play the game again if they make the Butcher the leader of all of Imran.
IP.
So
Horrible.
All right, it's war game talk. I'm out.
These are the,
It's off
these
the
are
rails.
the
It's off the
conversations
rails.
I do hear
As
at
a-
conventions, right?
As
where
a small
people-
side,
yes.
Bellin, I did not realize you were a War Machine fan. We have a whole lot more to talk about. A whole lot more to talk about. Thank you for bringing up War Machine. I love that game. Well, I love the people I play with more than the game. But
Yes.
Yeah, that tends to be the case.
okay,
but
so let's, if we can, get back to like the culture and the state of the hobby. One of the things that perplexes me is even like indie game designers obviously flock to crowdfunders, and I'm always really excited to see people be successful at those things like Kickstarters, or if you're into Fund My Comic, so on and so forth. Frank, you just had a successful one with Mad Quill Comics, right?
Yeah.
But I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
what do we feel about that being the primary commerce driver for tabletop games, whether it's board, role playing, or war games, moving forward?
I think that leads into what I said earlier about being a bit of a renaissance in this space. Like I said, if it wasn't for those avenues like BackerKit, Kickstarter, or any type of crowdfunding, giving people the opportunity to put their product out there and let people like ourselves be creative and seeing what people want, right? People will flock to the stuff that resonates with people. So if you're into Space Cowboys, you're going to find a Kickstarter or BackerKit that's producing a Space Cowboy type. If you want a space opera, there's always something. Like you say, let's talk about the industry darling, which is Shadow Dark, and how well that game did over the last couple years when it was nobody knew nothing about it, and all of a sudden it was $1 million Kickstarter, and it's done $1 million Kickstarters. Deathbringer is $1 million Kickstarter, and it started off as a simple 8x11 sheet of paper when it was first created and first put out there. So we support it because it gives us the opportunity to show off our craft, show people what we're capable of doing, create cool games, create cool stories. And for us, and especially for myself, is giving people the opportunity to play in a game that they want to play. If you want to play this type of character, and as a storyteller, that's how I got into this business. As a storyteller, I was the forever DM. I have a game. I'm the founder of the Red Owl Gaming Club. Next year will be our 40th anniversary. So we've been doing it for a while. But to give people the opportunity to play a game, to sit at a table, at a convention, at your kitchen table, at your local hobby store, and play a character and play it the way you want to play it in that environment, in that world, that's what keeps us making stuff every single day. And Kickstarter and BackerKit give us that opportunity to put that stuff out there and see what happens.
Speaking of Kickstarter and BackerKit, how much do you think the normies get involved in that? I mean, like if you follow Kickstarter and cruise through it, you can see a bunch of things, but is the general public using that a bunch? Do you think it's out there enough, or is that even a small, bigger than the little Twitter circles, but is that even a super tiny portion of what regular people would see, people who are at your game stores and your conventions?
I don't know. Kickstarter's gotten very commercial. I mean, big companies now use them for just pre-release launches and such. So
Right.
It's got enough popularity that normies are certainly going there and browsing it. In fact, I think it actually has made it harder for actual indie game developers to use it because they've leaned, so much more into the commercial side. So yes, but it's not like the indie people are getting a piece of that audience.
Right.
And I can speak from experience because when we went through our Kickstarter recently, and you're pushing this out through all your social media outlets, right? So everybody on the team is doing their best to get the word out, trying to reach as many people as we can, right? You start with your pre-Kickstarter page and you're trying to build that community, right? It's all about building that community. But what I experienced this time around is when I reach out to friends and family, is explaining what Kickstarter is. So there's still a learning curve, especially when it came to some of my friends and family. Oh, what are you doing? Well, we're producing a second comic. Okay, how can I help? And I said, well, you have to go through Kickstarter. So you have to go through This you have to do. You have to sign up. This is how you back a project, all
Yeah.
that stuff. So there's still a bit of a learning curve when it comes to the average Joe out there that's not in our space. But like Miranda says, it is growing. There is uh, a lot of advertisement around it now. Even Kickstarter itself, when you're building a project to them, there's a lot of support when it comes to them to try and make your project succeed. And like I said, we've been pretty lucky with all our Kickstarter campaigns. We've funded, and we funded pretty quickly, and we've gotten a lot of the projects we love type of badges attached to our projects. So,
Nice.
but it's still pushing it out to the average Joe and getting them to get familiar. Also, you're funding so we can help print, cover our costs, so we can get the book out there a lot quicker, right? So that's how we use crowdfunding for us. Is just but when you talk to other big companies, you see companies that put out campaigns and they're backed. Like Trollord has a campaign right now for a monster book, and that book was funded on BackerKit within 20 minutes of it going live, right? So it's all about your community and how engaged your community is and how supportive your community is to your product.
Yeah. Well, advertising is everything, right? What about the
Right.
other programs? Things like Game Found, that's one of them.
So they-
Indiegogo.
I don't know if anybody even uses Indiegogo anymore, but
Uh-huh.
Game Found is started off as like where you could do your like rewards after your Kickstarter ended, and they were like, well, why don't we just make our own basically platform so we can get in on it? So Game Found does its own backer thing, and then there's also Backer Kit, which is very similar, and that's where Rediger's was. But Rediger's was run on Backer Kit.
Yeah, a lot of people are either doing both or one or the other.
Yeah.
I'd like to give a quick special shout out. I wanted to keep up with Fund My Comic, but before the stream started, I brought up my buddy Chris Fisk, who I believe did Indiegogo, and then our buddy William Dalebout. He used Fund My Comic to do the Civil War II board game. But bunch of really cool people do Fund My Comic as like the free speech alternative. So
Right.
shout out to those guys for fighting a true fight.
And it
And
sounds
then,
like it was an excellent platform. You might not get as much views as like a Kickstarter would kick you down, but it's growing. So
Right.
I haven't heard anything bad about it at all.
The big thing right now with Kickstarter is people do have burnout. So like people in the gaming, in like my level, right? That I've done 123 Kickstarters, I think. I've gotten pretty lucky. I've only been burned on 2, and only one of them was for any significant amount of money. It was like $500. The company took the money and run. The other one, the guy passed away before he delivered, but it was like $30 for an adventure for an RPG.
Oh my!
I think death is a valid excuse to not.
Yeah,
follow
and they-
through.
and they-
maybe when you get
we
to the
didn't
other
get-
side, it'll be waiting for you.
We didn't get the RPG that they offered, but we got like credit to buy stuff from his existing library.
Oh well, see that's nice. You still got something. You didn't totally lose out. Yeah.
So like I've gotten pretty lucky, but some people like they'll back all kinds of stuff, and then like they get real upset. Oh, this hasn't delivered. It's 3 years overdue. I'm like, yeah, just wait. It will deliver. The guy's doing updates every month.
I don't
Some
know.
people go
Man, there are some people who leverage their credibility, and I think there's one guy that I know of that has as many as 5 Kickstarters that are 10 years old, and the last update was an update for all 5 of them saying we're still processing manufacturing. And then I think he launched a pump and dump meme coin last I heard.
Oh my gosh.
And it's really sad. So the crowdfunding thing is one of those things that I think is really cool. It's like a marketing thing for indies, but I do feel a little bit jaded when I see like Cool Mini or Not do another one, and you're like, I mean, really? Is this for you? But who am I to say?
Well, that's
I
an
don't know.
example of it being a pre-release set thing, because I mean, Cool Mini or Not has said like, yeah, we've kind of got the game developed. This is how we advertise is through Kickstarter.
Right.
And we
Yeah,
build
Coleman
that
or Not, it's kind of
promo.
bankrupt now. By the way,
Yeah, I mean it is it it's an aspect of a business strategy. It is not the whole business strategy.
So I think what Coleman or Not did is they overextended themselves. They were allowed to go onto GameFound, and they were launched like 10 like different things all at once. Where Kickstarter, you couldn't launch another one until the one the previous one had finished.
Right.
And they launched like a bunch of them on GameFound, and they started ignoring their ones on Kickstarter. They had like 4 or 5 that weren't delivered on Kickstarter still, and they launched all these other ones. And then the tariffs hit from China, and that just
that was I think what folded them. So it tells you the margins that were
tore them up. So they sold basically every single one of those IPs.
Okay, so that brings me into something that I was also curious about too. Like I'm not a one-man band. Not anymore. Thanks, Jeremy and Michael. I appreciate you guys. But when I was a one-man band, I didn't have any costs. You know what I mean? If I wanted playtesters, I'd force my children to do it and hope I didn't get slapped with any child labor laws or subject my wife to my crude ideas. But these days, just from a merch standpoint, I think last year my White Dwarf Summer stuff did better than this year. And I try not to like beat people over the head with the White Dwarf Summer stuff, because I'm like, man, I can't even afford my own t-shirts most of the time. But I mean, how do you guys feel about that? What's con attendance looking like as the economy strains on people? What are your projected sales looking like versus what they might have been 4 or 5, maybe even 8 years ago?
I think the con scene in general has seen a bit of a slowdown this whole year. Early signups are down, and then there's sort of I think a little bit of a bigger swell like last minute.
Yeah.
Travel is really expensive. Hotels are really expensive. So, I mean, I think from a budgeting standpoint, as costs for everyone go up, it's harder to budget that time. But I mean, you make time and you make space for the things you want to do. Because Adepticon, I mean, from 10 years ago, they've doubled in size. I think they're around 10,000 around their attendance this year. And I mean, whenever I started going in like 2014, that was like, they were capping at around 4, I want to say. So it's grown. And, certain conventions are more impacted by game states, because what LVO moved, they shifted around to be more in line with the tournament schedule of Warhammer, and that, when you move something, it's going to have a bit of a fall off until it kind of catches back up. So this year has definitely been kind of odd, but only now. Like prior to that, it's only been on a growth trajectory. And even then, I mean, it's entertainment, so I feel like it may have a small dip or plateau and then just continue growing as things stabilize.
Yeah, I think most of the big tournament or the big conventions that have major tournaments on them are kind of growing, especially now that Games Workshop has kind of became more involved in them. Although I hate to see that Games Workshop's more involved in them, because it limits the amount of stuff that you could use, like proxies and stuff, which pretty much pulls me totally out of the game, because I like my proxies and my 3D prints.
What about you, Frank?
3D printing has changed the game a lot, especially as the tournaments get more leaned into. I don't know that anybody else is as strict on it. I don't even know if TOs can keep up with what's a legitimate mini and what's not now.
So to add on to that, the conversation that's going on, for me, it's a little different, because I gotta convert everything to US dollars, right? So for me to travel, for me to attend it, everything's USD. So I have my girlfriend, she looks after all the scheduling, so I just give her the dates and she schedules and tries to, but it's like I said, cost of living is going up. Everything around you is going up. So for us coming south of the border into the United States, we're paying an extra 30% on top of everything. So for food, for hotels, it's 30% more than an American going to a convention. So it's tough. You got to pick and choose. You got to work with different conventions. Like for myself, I'm pretty lucky. I get free badges to run games. So when I'm going to a convention, I'm not going strictly there as a player. I'm going there first and foremost as a storyteller, and so I'm running games. So I try to make sure that if I'm getting a free badge or I'm getting a badge to go to a convention, that I'm putting in my hours. So I feel that I'm getting value out of it. But at the same time, you learn where you can budget your hours throughout the day, so you're not burning yourself out. But yeah, so I coming down through the United States and I'm probably looking at 4 to 5 conventions per year now in the United States, but they're all going to be based around where I can get in either on a panel or as a guest or as a castle keeper or dungeon master, making it a little bit more affordable to travel into the United States and attend conventions. Because I said our conventions up here are smaller, they're different. I got 2 coming up, and one in October and one in November, and they're within half an hour of the house, so it's easier to attend those because I'm not looking at a hotel. I can go back and forth. I don't need to find a hotel. I can pack a lunch at our conventions. Like some bigger conventions stateside, they kind of frowned upon if you bring outside food, right? They want you to spend your every single dollar in their venue. So like I said, it's growing. I feel from the involvement I've had with Troll Lord and seeing the inner workings of conventions and what they attend to and how they plan to go to conventions, that there is an interest still, and there's still growth from year to year. So it's pretty healthy.
I
out
know.
there.
Shout out to Dungeon Minister. His Clericon has been growing, and it's a super small con, but it's been growing every year. I don't know if it's been doubling or tripling.
Yeah.
He just did his 3rd or 4th. That's up in Canada if you want to check it out. Yeah,
I'll be attending that one. I'll be on a panel.
That one looks fun. That one looks fun.
Yeah,
Is Richard going to do a Rutgers con?
Ooh, he
Think
should.
so, but he should, or he should be at the cons running Rutgers. He should be here running Rutgers, and we can get Miranda to play next time, so she can get her
Miranda
RPG
needs to be a
fix.
Rutger.
Yes. Yeah, unfortunately, Richard is, I don't know exactly where in Ontario you are, but if I recall, Richard is in Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia.
Right? Yeah.
Nova Scotia.
It's this is a little far away, but
it's not that far. It's like 1,000-ish miles.
Just a little bit of a drive from Ontario to Nova Scotia.
Yeah. I do want to give a quick shout out to Space Shark 23, who made a comment on X. I'm trying to watch all the platforms for all the chat guys, but
tell Space Shark to get over to YouTube. That's where everybody's watching now.
He said nice shirt, and I want to say he's talking about me, but he should be commenting on
he should
Frank's
be talking
hat.
about, I think he's talking about this.
He's talking about Frank's hat, and everybody knows it.
Everyone knows
Shirt is code for cool hat.
Yep.
I got to get this hat on a Garbage Pail Kid piece of art.
Travis says,
I need to. Now that I know you, I need to GPK out. I need to do JP Got Rockets. There was somebody else the other day where
you need to do Miranda. Miranda needs a Garbage Pail Kid now.
I need to get to know Miranda better. I don't see all of her tweets. I don't know how to poke fun at her.
Miranda doesn't tweet.
You know what I mean? So
Miranda's biggest tweet
I just
is,
started
"I hate
watching
Twitter."
the show. I can't just make a card that says she's hot. That doesn't work.
Here's a question for the panel: what do you guys feel is missing in this space at the moment?
I don't think that it's an issue of what's missing in the space other than support, right? And it's not to say that people don't support the things that they love. So I've been a diehard supporter of alternative platforms and small channels and media. I've given away hundreds and hundreds of dollars of free art commissions to, try to help grow small channels. And some of that's panned out and some of it didn't, to the point of I have lifelong haters now. I've gone through the point of doing small, like alternative sales platforms like Big Geek Emporium and Giant Slayer Games. Big Geek Emporium ended because somebody went on a stream and chat talk a bunch of publishers there. And then the guy who chat talked the publishers after they all left decided to publish his game on DTRPG and not even on BGE. And then GSG, unfortunately, the guy that was running that got way too busy, and I wasn't able to do it by myself. But we're doing the Indie Game Guild, and I am the like co-editor in chief for White Shark Magazine, and like seeing people contribute amazing things and trying to get people over there, like fighting the constant algorithm, because everything wants to be rage bait, but talking about really cool stuff, it doesn't quite make it through the algorithm because it's not bleeding, right? It's like burgeoning life, and people would rather follow like the hysterics of it all. So I did a interview with Phoenix McFury of Panda Sub 2000 and the Side Scrollers podcast.
What are these people?
And he was talking about why we need to, but case in point, Rumble. We streamed on Rumble for a really long time. We're streaming on Rumble right now, and people are constantly complaining about it instead of being like, okay, we're going to make do because we need to build this alternative platform. Because at the end of the day, you can put all this effort into building something really great, and then the platform you choose to publish it on can be taken from you. And I watched that happen to my buddy William from Kickstarter. I've seen that happen to creators on YouTube and so on and so forth. But it's just not convenient to swap to these other platforms. And I'm not going to sit there and like browbeat and bully people to go one way or to go use all the platforms. But the best thing that I can do from where I'm at is support the creators that want to create really cool things and try to make it as easy as possible for them. And then I'm going to put my effort into building a platform for when they eventually, like, it doesn't work out there, or maybe they get taken down from there. I could be like, hey, come over here. The water's warm, so.
Right.
All right, your soapbox is gone. Miranda, besides dino riding Menites, what is missing from the hobby?
It's hard to say because we have an embarrassment of riches in the hobby, right? We've got so many options to play kind of anything you want, that I think the thing that's missing is I guess we do have Games Workshop, so I will say this even though with that caveat, but it doesn't feel like there's a big unified place for people to all just enjoy one game, I guess, anymore. The closest we got is probably WotC, which is why it's so big, and people choose to enjoy it sort of despite WotC's actions. It would be nice to see some kind of unified point in the culture where people can all just enjoy this one big thing instead of everybody being as fractured as they are. I mean, how many different indie games are there that nobody's ever heard of because they're all siloed in these small groups? I don't know what fixes that exactly, just because we have such a big echo chamber of the internet now. But
watching here on Paddy's Parlor on Saturdays as we try a new game every weekend.
Shameless plug. Good job. But one
of those will be one of those games will be an upcoming revisit of the Iron Kingdoms RPG, just so I can get some Zeke.
And when Frank's game gets a little closer, we know he's going to come on here and run some for us. We'll get the players. You bring the barrel.
100%.
But yeah, I don't know. It's not as shared a culture anymore. Everybody's in their little box. It's kind of lonely.
Michael, do you think there's something missing from the RPG?
I don't know. Frank was talking about it being a renaissance right now, and I feel like, at least in the spaces I travel in, it is. It's an indie golden age. There's so many games that I couldn't begin to play and understand the rules for all of them. I could go broke buying new products or new minis or new whatever every day. And as far as a unified space to go play, like, I haven't been to the game store forever, and I used to be down there, a couple times a week, whether I was playing or not. And I feel like COVID kind of ruined a lot of that. Malls going away ruined a lot of that, and being able to have stuff just show up right at the house ruined a lot of that. So we're not getting out as more. But then we have these online spaces that are all growing. I mean, Jeremy and I, if we wanted, could be streaming, 20 times a week, playing games everywhere, but we need to sleep, right? And we're on more and more. So it's like the play is available out there for anything you want and any way you want, whether you want cameras at the table, whether you want in person, whether you want some kind of VTT, whether you want. So I don't know. Like, there's something missing, but it's not product.
No.
Maybe it is the place. Maybe this is it. I mean, I've been doing more gaming than I've ever done in my life lately. So is there anything missing? There's a lot of stuff we can point at that's like, oh, that's gross, or I don't like that, or I don't like that. But there's also more stuff that I can shake a stick at that is amazing. So it is a great time. To where when I was a kid, there was only, you had Phase Rip and you had D&D 2nd edition had come out. And, there was only a couple things to choose from, right?
So do you think like the gaming experience has changed? Would you say it is as with the options that you have, is the experience of gaming as fulfilling as maybe it was in the age of old?
Maybe more so. Maybe, I mean, like as a child discovering it and playing it, it's different the first time, getting excited about it and digging into it and digging into the lore and friends and in person. But I'm probably way more fulfilled now doing this and playing this stuff, even though it's half work because we have to do it on a schedule. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't mind if it was the same game every Saturday and we got way into it, but that's not the show, which is why it's fun to dip into some other things. It's a different type of gaming experience.
Group, right?
With the same, I mean, it's various. Yeah, generally it's
you get
the
worst
same
DM
group.
You get the worst.
Right.
Yeah.
Mostly.
So on Saturday it's mostly Jeremy DMing, and then the players. Cyrus has kind of been here every weekend. There's a rotation, but we do get new players in that are exciting to play with. But then we go on other channels with other groups. So we'll be over at Doom Swords with the Gods of Gaming, and those are completely different people. They'll dip in over here. Or we were at Scudder for Mike's playing with some of the Bro SR guys. So it's like we're playing at different tables and we're playing different games. Jeremy follows me everywhere, but I like that because then I know somebody. So he does invite me to go places, and I go too. So,
Yeah,
So-
I mean, there are people who still have like their 10-year. I'm sorry, Jeremy, I'll step on you for
You're fine.
just a second. But there's people who have like their 10-year RPG, right? That's been happening consecutively forever. And now I think it's mostly more of a, for lack of a better comparison, maybe to like the dating culture where people just like try a game or try playing with this group of people, and the circles don't ever maybe stick as long. It's too
Right.
casual almost.
Right.
So you don't have that fulfillment of friendship is maybe a thought there.
I hear about a lot of that. Certain people online will talk, and they just can't find their game, and they can't find their group, and they have high turnaround, and they get upset about it. I've gotten lucky, and I get along with everybody, so
You got it out.
and people reached out, right? Like Paddy bullied me onto coming in here, and Jeremy. So like I haven't had an issue with that yet. But I know other people have, right? They just can't. And maybe it's, whatever paralysis from too much stuff or too many styles or too much whatever.
Yeah.
But maybe not. I don't know. Maybe people just can't be pleased. Some people, I don't know.
Or is that?
I'm having a blast, though. I think this is a great time. I don't agree with a lot of the things the big game companies are doing. I'm never playing Warhammer 40K, Jeremy. I'll do the RPG until he forces me to do it. But we played full thrust, and I'm getting my ships
are
painted.
playing some Warhammer 40k, but it's 5 parsecs Warhammer 40k.
That's different. That's
Different.
different. That's different.
Because I won't play 40k anymore either.
That's right.
You
Mr.
were singing the praises of 11th edition, Mr.
No, they removed looters and burners.
Okay. I'm mercurial.
Frank, what's it like? Because it does seem like you have a preference for the Troll Lord game stuff. What's the health of that game look like? What's the common culture? What describe to me like the average person that says, "Oh yeah, Castles and Crusades, I want to play that game."
So we all get put in different buckets, right? There's the OSR, there's 5e, there's everything in between. What drew me to Castles and Crusades and Troll Lords was the feel of playing a fantasy game without worrying about Thaco. And that's dead honest. You know what? We got it as a kid. We got used to it. We played with it. But to play CNC, play under the Siege engine, and to have Steven and the group put out as much product as they do, not just their own product, but they're also putting out Gary's product at the same time, and they're bringing it out to the masses. It's an easy game to pick up at the table. Like I said, there's no Thaco. It still feels like second edition. It still has that old school feel to it. It still has that little grit to it. And so that's the ease of telling a story using the Siege engine makes it a lot funner for people to interact, right? People seem to interact a lot more at the table. You're not worried. It's pretty simple. You still have your set of stats. The only biggest thing is you have your prime attributes and your non-prime, and that's a simple for CK, which is their version of a dungeon master. When you're rolling for prime, it's at 12 or better. If it's a non-prime stat, it's 18 or better. So it's very simple to introduce new people to. The learning curve, what I found personally teaching, I ran a bunch of demo games this year at GaryCon for people just walking into the room. You're able to run a game within an hour and get people used to rolling dice, role playing in a scenario, and the ease of the game is what brought me to the table and keeps me at the table at the moment.
Sounds like you might play a little different than I do when we're playing our game of Castles and Crusades. I wonder if
With Anthony?
I wonder if he does his setup a little.
Anthony's definitely old school, and he does like to tweak rules. He's redoing AD&D to make the early levels a little bit more heroic.
Because I wanted to say 18 was our DC for everything, and then it gets adjusted for the level of 2 we're going up against. So you might have to roll like a 22.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, you get your pluses for CNC. You get your pluses per level. So if you're a level 10 character, you automatically have a plus 10 to hit, right? So the ease. But yeah, the standard, if you look through the book, it's 12 and 18 for prom and 9 prom. And again, what they do over there differently is they're putting out stuff, right? And they're not afraid. They have a catalog of material that they go through, and then throwing Gary's work on top of that, and then taking Amazing Adventures. So Castles and Crusades is your fantasy element, and Amazing Adventures covers every other genre that you want to play. So if you want to play a World War II campaign, you would play it under Amazing Adventures. If you want to play a Lost Worlds noir style game, you would use Amazing Adventures. You're playing heroic knights and sorcerers, you're playing CNC Castles and Crusades. So the siege system that they've created adapts very well to any genre of game that you want to put at the table, and which gives a lot of people the freedom to create their own games.
I was trying to explain the siege system to a person I follow on X. His name's Noble Shield. Seems like a nice enough guy, but it was really hard to try to explain to him that it's not house ruling, it's the way the rules are written. He's like, no, it's just a house rule. And I'm like, no, the siege system is allowing you to basically do whatever you want. You have to be creative with it. And he just didn't get it. And I
think some people just are incapable of reading, and it's a failure of the public school system. But
so I love the siege system because it does let you do some crazy stuff. Harmony's in our chat.
Harmony.
She's on a Rumble, just so you guys know.
Welcome,
hey,
ladies.
Harmony. Oh,
Hey.
speaking of
Why
which,
Golly me's the
And
only girl on this panel. Where are
Altiar,
you?
Altiar the Blue did ask, where does the panel see the hobby in 5 years?
They're gonna
Good
go
question.
super app based, and I am gonna dislike that. But I
do
think apps
I
are.
think that's
bleh.
yes.
Yeah, I
a lot
agree.
of it.
I think they're going to try and monetize every nickel out of your pocket.
Subscription everything.
You will own nothing and be happy.
Mm.
Even your digital dice will not belong to you.
Oh gosh.
You know, if I had known Paddy was going to be here, I would have just actually not came and played Icewind Dale since I bought it and installed it last night.
Nice. The old one?
The original Icewind Dale, yeah.
dude,
You
Bjorn,
bought it?
Bjorn
Dude, I've got
loaded
the
up
disc
Neverwinter
sitting
Nights
over there.
as I was walking in.
Like,
Like
it
I
won't
heard
be
the
on
music
Steam.
for Neverwinter Nights, and he was rolling up a character. I was like, "You bastard!"
Wait, we should figure out Neverwinter Nights. We could probably do a online game of Neverwinter Nights where we're all playing Neverwinter Nights and streaming it.
That'd be
We
sweet.
could. We totally
I don't know.
could.
Like, do you think in subscription fees? I say this with a grain of salt because I think like every YouTube channel has got like a Patreon or a premium subscription thing, but you don't really see indies subscribing to the subscription model as a form of delivering their games. But do you think we're missing something? Like, do you think if we were able to coalesce together as like, so like, let's say the Indie Game Guild, and you bought an Indie Game Guild premium subscription, and every month it came with like White Shark Quarterly, and inside White Shark Quarterly you got rules to a game, and you didn't have to access it through like White Shark Premium, download this software like EA or whatever, and you own the files that you got. Do you think that the indies are missing something as far as monetizing and becoming successful? Because for all of the complaints of the subscription service model, people are still buying that stuff in droves. Meanwhile, a lot of indies, not all, but a lot of indies are struggling to keep their heads above water.
Well, first,
I canceled
disagree.
my D&D Beyond subscription finally after years of not using it and paying the full tier. So I'm getting away from that.
I'm going to disagree with you that indies don't use subscription models, because every single indie person that ever previews their stuff is always talking about their Substack, which is a subscription model.
Fair enough. Okay. Yeah, because I should say White Shark does that too, and I did mention like YouTube channels and such. But what do you think, Frank?
I mean, one of the challenges is that it's really easy to own too much crap. And with you have like a million game options, you don't actually like. I'm in a position where I do not want to own very many more things because I have no place to put them. And so I understand like the idea of that, like, oh, let it just live in this sphere, but it is empty. There is like, it never feels like it's actually yours. And so, physical media is the king, but I don't know that it coincides healthily with the amount of options we have for games, because not everyone can reasonably collect all those indie games and physically have them. So it is a trade-off and a double-edged sword for sure.
I think PDFs are a good thing, but I don't know that a forced subscription or to access your content via that is good. But I can see, they do the loot box things. I can see there being a space for people to make money and it be a good thing, but I don't want everything. Now your car needs a subscription that you own in order to turn your radio on, and now for the heated seats to work. Like it definitely should not head in that direction.
It's absolutely gone crazy.
Too far,
But I don't think it's actually gone crazy enough that people are rejecting it yet. So for the question of where is it going to be in the next 5 years, I suspect that it will only get worse and more annoying in that time until like some brave company that has like the capital to afford it is like, hey, that thing you bought, how about you just own it forever? And people are going to be like, oh my God. But I could see game stores maybe having more of those physical medias and being a place that people just go and borrow it from a game store, and it's more localized rental rather than everything being just digital online spaces.
So here's a take. So we all talk about subscription based, and I remember as a kid, I was lucky if I had 5 channels on the TV when I was a kid, and now there's every type of streaming service. But as content creators, if we want to move out of the digital space and get back to the analog space, why can't we offer our patrons the opportunity to own a physical copy? I'm the opposite. I love getting physical books. I'll grab any TTRPG I can, not just because I want to play it, it's because I want to flip through it. I want to see what people are doing. I want to see cool mechanics. So, as a content creator, why don't we create a subscription base that you are able to print down a zine type PDF,
Right.
fold it
right.
at home, put a couple staples, stick it on your shelf. Now it doesn't feel like it's living on your computer. Now it's living on the shelf next to your desk. But I don't think we do that enough today. So moving forward, I would like to drive more of an analog system where we're offering people more analog choices instead of just a digital PDF. Make it easier for them to
Right.
print at home, put a couple staples in it, or stitch it up with a thread and needle.
Patty's gonna.
There you go. There you go. Right.
Yeah.
Prime
Me
example.
and
Right?
Patty printed out all those for Valhalla the night before and stapled them all and cut them up and brought them.
Yeah.
But did you play them?
But
Did you
notice-
play
we,
them?
we handed them out to all the
Nice.
attendees.
Did you actually play any this year, Patty?
We played.
Not-
I
not-
played a lot of games of Mutants. I never got to run Blacklight because by the time we got done with Jeremy's stuff, I was kind of like RPG'd out and needed to relax.
That's fair.
And
That's
I had
fair.
all of my bolt action games to play, so I was like, I was trying to keep up.
The small zines like what Patty has there, or if you look at Adam from Tabletop Minions, him and Vince, they put out small games that don't take up that much space, and they still do the physical copy, and they were doing kind of the zine style for a while. I think
Yeah, they do
that's
print on
very
demand
viable.
stuff.
What's that?
They do print on demand stuff. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
I had a copy of Rain and Hell, but I think I set it aside for a
I thought
giveaway.
you-
'Cause I never got
I
around.
was like,
to
I
play
thought
it.
you gave it away in a giveaway.
No, I put it in my 2 giveaway pile. Oh, dude, it's right here. Okay.
But yeah,
It doesn't have a
it
spine,
drives.
though. It's like a magazine, so
Yeah.
it's print on demand type stuff is a good choice as well.
Right.
But-
Well,
But we just
and-
have to spend the time creating that stuff, right? We have to
Yeah.
give
Right.
the
Right.
community and our subscribers, our followers, that type of product. Right? We have to give them that analog product where they get, if you it's just a one page to help the CK or the dungeon master or the storyteller, a quick scenario, you can print it off black and white. You can put a couple holes in it, stick it in your binder. Like I'll grab you what my binder looks like.
Tales of Argosa is going to be putting out their starter box set this year, so I'm going to be spending money on that.
and maybe
That's
it's
their
just a
that's
matter of-
RPG we played at Valhalla, by the way. Miranda.
Yeah, that one was fun. But maybe it's just a matter of not being greedy with people's space. You know, I mean, the wargaming hobby, right? There's like piles of shame everywhere. I feel like RPGs are probably a little more manageable.
Yeah. Well, you'd be surprised how
Hey,
many.
look at this.
these
Can we
look
make
like.
Can we make Frank big real quick and let him
We
show up?
could
Yeah,
make
just-
Frank big. Yeah. Yeah.
Ah,
just
where's my mouse?
hit the arrows on his picture. Here. Oh.
Oh.
Now we're all
Yay.
doing it.
So yeah, that's my binder that I carry to my games. You know, reskinned it, and then inside my thing are just all my sheets that I need for my game. And I don't carry no big, I don't, everybody loves their big textbooks and stuff like that. But if I can throw something in my binder, and I know it's mine, and I can carry it to table, I'm not breaking my back with a big heavy backpack.
Right.
And that's how I design my adventures when I go to conventions. I just 8x11, or I'm a big index card type of guy, so I'll cut them up into index card size, 4x6 or 3x5, and I run it at the table. And I think if we can do more stuff like that for the community, especially, we don't have a community if we're not mentoring more storytellers. So we have to do a better job at giving storytellers more product that they can use at their table, because that's how the hobby grows. That's how the community grows. Because if you can mentor somebody at your table to become the next CK or the next dungeon master, that's another table that opens up beside you. And then if that process keeps growing, then the community and the hobby grows. Without storytellers, without dungeon masters, castle keepers, the hobby will die off.
Play games with your kids. Play games with your nieces and your nephews. Start a gaming club at your local library. That's one of the things that I always get to as well. Is like, I think that there's a small miasma of DMs that are a little bit fatigued with entitled players or
Yeah.
players that don't play well, or there's players that sit down for a pickup game of Dungeons and Dragons and they're like, oh, we're going into the DM's poorly disguised fetish magical realm. And I think a lot of that gets fixed when you teach your kids, read them bedtime stories, help fill that appendix N in their head, and show them how we used to run games. Return, but it's a little bit of the things that I think about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. That's how the hobby keeps going from generation to generation, and it keeps us in the hobby for generations after generations of getting together with people, getting together with friends, getting together with strangers, and having fun around the table. Bottom line, it boils down, you're just sitting at a table rolling some dice and telling a story, and you just have to make it as fun as possible. And I'm a big believer, for me, when I'm at the table running a game, it's not about my game, it's about the people at the table. I want them to immerse themselves in Feral, in Castles and Crusades. I want them to, if they're playing that fighter, I want them to play the fighter the way they want to play the fighter, tell their story. It's my job to react to the table instead of trying to railroad them down a certain path, right? And a lot of products, when you look, we'll go back to WotC, what you look at a lot of WotC's products over the years, it's very one path storytelling. It's, you go from point A to point B, come back to A, go to C, come back to A, go to D, and it's a very train tracky down the one road you go, and there's not a whole lot of interaction. So to be
is that by necessity to fit something in such a small single module package or a box set? Like there's been some amazing sandbox campaigns made, but on the commercial side, do you almost have to do that unless it's just a bigger setting book or something? Like if you're doing.
But who are we trying to cater to? So are we trying to cater to the players, or are we trying to cater to the DMs? Because they're not small books, so they're 150 plus on average, right? So they're a tome. You're paying for a couple hundred pages worth of product. But how many times does a player come to your table with a book saying, hey, want to run this, right? It's usually the dungeon master or the leader of the group that's going out to buy that product. So why are we creating a 80? So up here, a WotC book costs me about $80 to $90 Canadian.
Right.
For something that I can't guarantee that my table is going to make it from the front cover to the back cover.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm definitely a fan of the much smaller old school modules than the new big book tomes that you may or may not play all the way through, or may buy and not enjoy even on your first read through, or be overwhelmed, or it's not put together well enough.
So is
I'd like to see us getting back to that more small 30-page, 15-page.
Yep.
Professor Dungeon Master, one page each side, 2 pages. Like, here's everything you need. Here's the map, the key locations, the core people, the stat blocks. Boom, go. Right.
But does that put more work on the Dungeon Master technically to fill in? I assume those larger tomes are designed to maybe remove the need for creativity from Dungeon Masters. Is that correct?
I think that was the intent, but I don't know that that's what they achieved. Right.
There's a balance to strike.
Yeah,
right.
And I think you spend more time prepping for a game using a book of 150 pages than you do playing the game. So if you take an example, like if you take Hamlet, which is a classic little module, it's not an adventure book, so it was a module, 30, 40 pages tops, whatever it was back in the day, but it gave the Dungeon Master everything he needed to run the game. And it gave you the freedom to add to it the way that you felt you needed for your group. So you had enough there to get you started and still give you the flexibility to not spend 3 days before you play prepping for the game, right? Like that's what the burnout when it comes to a dungeon master or storyteller, it's all that extra prep that you have to do. So let's create products that take that prep time away from the people running the games, but yet give them enough tools in their toolbox that they can just throw on the table and have fun with.
Right, right.
Hmm.
Do you have this problem in wargaming, Miranda? Do you have to do major prep in building your armies and getting ready for the? Do you need to spend
No,
3
she
days
just has the
before a
painter
battle?
flow painter
Yeah,
minis.
I have outsourced my painting. Thank God. No, painter flow. She's actually amazing. She's great.
I was gonna say, does Tommy build your list for you too?
No, absolutely not. No, I definitely build my list, which is why they're all weird and zany. No, but interestingly, the last few years has seen a shift toward more wargaming, leaning into narrative play. So they are
Right.
combining RPG elements into gameplay. For example, like at Nova next week, I'll be helping with the 40K narrative, and there's like 80 players signed up to have these multi-day games, right? But each game, the table itself has a narrative theme going on with it, and then overall you are participating in telling a story, and that's grown. GW now has a grand narrative. The War Machine group, they run narratives now, and so it's interesting to see kind of the RPG side be the olive branch to the casual players in wargaming, because that
Right.
is what the casuals get if they don't really want to be participating in GTs. So
Right.
both need preparation and practice, but I mean that is the case with any of it, I assume.
Just as a quick go back to like the Village of Hamlet, which I believe is one of Professor Dungeon Master's favorite start off settings, and leads into a lot of his stuff. But so just to talk about like Chubby Funster talks about cognitive load. You want to sell stuff that reduces cognitive load on the Dungeon Master, so that way players can really sit down and enjoy what's going on. Dungeon Masters aren't, as much as I love Gods of the Forbidden North, this is a tome, right? Big shout out to Rob and all of the team that put this together, and 2 other books just as big. But I think it was one page was to reduce a lot of the overall prep, because at the end of the day, some players groups, and your mileage varies, that some groups you'll have a big module prepared that you'll have sat down and read and studied, so that way you could follow along with the players with what they're doing and make it a seamless experience. While something like what Professor Dungeon Master is doing is like, hey, this is the overall narrative. These are the points of interest. Everything else is going to have to be your improv or your ephemera. That way you're not spending 3 weeks preparing for something that your players aren't even going to engage with anyway. And I don't think that's necessarily a problem with wargaming, because wargaming as we know it these days is a little bit more railroady. Like I pulled out my War Machine Oblivion book, which is a narrative campaign that takes you through a tree of choices. I really like that type of stuff. This is another book that does generally that. Frostgrave is a very
100%.
Frank, I think you brought up right before we started Mordheim, right? You said
Yeah.
you said Mordheim, so you're familiar. Again, whether or not my brother agrees with me, but man, I got a reprint of original Dungeons and Dragons right here, and right there on the cover, rules for fantastic medieval war games campaigns playable with paper and pencil and miniature figures. Right there on the cover.
D&D is a war game, baby.
And it
Just
all
some war
started
games
with
don't
me.
have enough RP, right?
Exactly. That book right there started off Chainmail.
So,
Only one here that's played it is me.
So kind of what I was saying earlier, with video games and RPGs, like, war games so that basically was, I don't know, Peter Cushing and all of them were getting tired of playing the Battle of Waterloo for the 15,000th time and wanted to do something different.
Had to get some dragons and elves in there, man.
Yeah.
Something.
Well, if you trace back its roots, like with Gary's original group was a miniature war war group playing on a sand table. Dave Artisan out of Minnesota. It was a miniature group that all came together. Right? And if you listen and you kind of do your research on it, all they wanted to do was, instead of playing these big armies, they wanted to play the general, or they wanted to play the rifleman, or they wanted to play
Right.
the militia guy. So that's how D&D came to the table, is taking the elements of wargaming and shrinking it down to an individual character. And when you listen to a lot of what Gary and Dave talked about early on in the early days in D&D, they always said start small. Start with that 4 to 5 house village and build out of it. If you look at Greyhawk and the way Greyhawk was designed and Blackmore was designed, it was always designed to give you enough to get started, and then you had to create everything else that you wanted to continue the campaign. So that's where the hobby, I believe, needs to go back to, is giving people enough stuff that they can put at the table and build from and kind of build outward.
We need good stories that people want to play and participate in. Bring back some proper heroes' journeys.
Dude, I mean, just a quick shout out to mutual friend Travis in Full Metal Tilt. Like, it's a jousting game, and the resolution for the jousting tournaments is so fast. I mean, it's incredibly fast. It's very tight rules, but you can turn that jousting tournament into either like the linchpin of a greater role-playing game campaign, as you get favors from princesses, or you quest for your knighthood to compete in these games, and so on and so forth. It's really cool to see what people are doing with it rather than pigeonholing. But there's some obstinate people out there that have blinders on. They have no ears to hear, no eyes to see, and they're missing out on some really great stuff, I think.
Do we? So there was talk earlier of, do we need another new system? And maybe no, we don't. There's a good system out there. But do we need more mini games and tools to drop into the systems we already know and love? Is there still space for that, or does it just need to go story module wise? Or is that, should the indie creator be taking more of that track, doing something like Travis is doing that's missing from a lot of these systems?
I believe so. I believe that we all have a limited amount of time to work on stuff. So why should we spin our wheels reinventing the wheel when it's already out there? I think as creators, I think we need to create product like Feral, which is a TTRPG by its roots, but it's a different era, a different universe, a different location, different classes. I think that's where, for me, that's where I like to spend my time, is developing new classes. I'm not so much about mechanics. There's a lot of good mechanics out there that you can adapt to and you can use. There's a lot of third-party licenses out there that support the creative voyage when it comes to stuff like that. So I'd rather give somebody a unique setting that they can play in, a different class, spend my time on mechanics on the class, giving abilities and equipment and stuff like that, a different era to play in, and give that to the storyteller and said, here's all the tools that you need to play Feral in Northern Ontario. Have at it.
Nice.
Just for reference, the Village of Hamlet is 26 pages. The adventure starts on page 5 and ends on page 19.
Nice.
So it's
And everything else is for the dungeon master to use as he needs it. And again, it gives you a village, it gives you a mode house, it gives you all the tools that you need to start a campaign within a couple hexes, and then grow it from there.
And then Horde of the Dragon Queen, which was the initial adventure, not the starter. I could have opened the starter adventure, but I opened the first book that came out for 5th edition. It's 126 pages.
Right. Right, right.
Adventure starting on page 6 and ending on page 122.
And it's not a place to just start your first level characters out and grow. It's
No,
to take you from level 1 to 10 or whatever it is.
No, it's 1 to 5.
1 to 5.
Yeah. That's level 1 to 5 for that. I've run it multiple times.
So imagine being a new dungeon master, and you have to go through that tome of over 100 pages to run a campaign just in that book. How much time and effort do you got to put into?
And that's the first book of a 2-book series, because it ends a story, and then the next book takes you to level 10.
I wanted to bring up this point that Altair the Blue made. If people wanted less, then people would get so upset when WotC dilutes and bastardizes beloved settings. I don't think less is more necessarily. The wealth of a setting is very desired, and that's kind of where I'm at. Like having done this for a while in the streaming and like reacting to being a creator and all that stuff, Jeremy and I have come across a couple of things where we're just like, well, why is this here? But I also am of the mind where if everything that needed to be made had been made, then we'd all be living in like the Fairly Odd Parents gray goo slime world where it's like, well, I don't know if you guys recall the episode that I'm talking about, but Timmy was like, I wish everyone had everything the same. And then there was that one bastard on the street that was like, we're the grayest and the blobbiest. Like, I think eventually you just get to that kind of point. But it is significantly hard. I brought Chubby Funster up earlier on in the stream, but he had a pretty good video late last year that had to deal with like lack of reviews in a world where there's so much to choose from, and how even if there is so much to choose from, like we need people that are actually playing these games, not theory crafting or not looking at the book and seeing if it like tantalizes your eyeballs, because the layout or the art is good, but like actually playing these games and seeing if they work as games. And that's just not something that we get quite as often. And I'm always, especially in my field, I get a lot of solicitations for like new games and new Kickstarters coming out, and it's hard to keep up with. But I mean, I might have to get going here soon myself. But we're
wrapping up. We're wrapping up here soon, so
don't forget to ask Frank about the Living Siege.
We are. We've got the scoop.
Okay.
We've got the special announcement, and Miranda, if she has anything going on.
So we'll start with Miranda. You have any announcements that you want to?
I'll be at the Nova Open next week. Come say hi at in the 40K Narrative. I'm also going to be hosting the Game Designers panel, where we will have a few different designers all there answering questions from the attendees and talking about their process for developing games and what it takes to get them across the finish line.
Is there any live streams of that, Miranda?
There will be a live stream the week after Nova, but I think the game design panel, I don't think it'll be live streamed, but I think it will be recorded potentially.
Right.
Nice. Yeah, that could be super interesting.
Yeah, if you're ever interested in designing games and can't make the Nova Open, check their website. I think a week after you might be able to check that out.
Yeah, something like that.
All right. I don't really have any announcements yet. So we'll do ours at the very, very end. So Frank, you want to tell us about?
So
we don't know. Yeah. What about? It's a surprise.
So it's the first time we're putting it out there. So a couple months. So coming back from GaryCon this year, I've always had a passion project that I always wanted to bring to the table. And that passion project is called Living Siege. And what Living Siege is we're going back to the club level. We want to introduce club play back into the world of TTRPG. So with that idea, I have approached Trollord, and last week we got full approval from Steven Chenault that we are taking Living Siege into the world of Aird. And what Living Siege is is
I
kind
just
of like
figured.
kind of like living. Well, you
Living
living Greyhawk used to be, but instead of all that paperwork and people, the triads in different parts of the world, what we want you to do is to make the world of Aird feel alive, to have multiple CKs running campaigns inside the world of Aird, and everybody playing in one shared world. By saying that, what we plan on doing is we want to run, so taking a little bit from the MMO world, because I did spend a lot of my time in the World of Warcraft. We want to create live events that clubs can take part in. So what we're going to do is we're going to have like world bosses. We're going to have dungeons that reset that are only open for a certain period of time. So we're going to take a little bit of the MMO world and bring it into the TTRPG space and play it inside Trollord's Living Aird. So Living Aird, so you would register your guild. It's all about club play. It's all about, doesn't matter if you're playing at home or your kitchen table, if you're playing at your hobby store or the library or Boys and Girls Club, wherever you're playing as a group of people, you would register your guild with us. Then the castle keeper would reach out. We would sit down with them and say, which part of the world would you want to play in? And then we would give them a hex. So what you get one hex, and you get 6 hexes around you to start your campaign in. And then we'll be running narratives every 3 months about different storylines or different events that are going on. So it's your job as the DM or the castle keeper to get your group over to a certain part of the world to partake in, say, a world boss, like a giant demon has been summoned. He's out there, and everybody, like we talked about, a lot of people have hinted at it today in the stream, where the narrative play, each group is doing something different. You could be sieging a tower one day, you could be sieging a castle wall. One group could be on the north wall, another group could be on the east wall. So what we're doing is just creating a living world where a TTRPG feels like it's alive. So every circumstance, every consequence will be fed back into the timeline. So we've gotten approval from Steve to start at a certain part of Aird's timeline. Everything before that becomes a canon or a foundational, and then the CK has the free will to run their campaigns moving forward in timeline. And what's going to happen with the timeline, it's based on 365 days in the year. So every day in real time is a day in the world of Aird. So you as a CK, you're running your group. So if you only get together twice a month, so be it. You get together twice a month, you're still doing stuff. There's still going to be enough opportunity for each guild or each club to partake in certain events. And then what we're doing is we're going to pick a couple cons every year to showcase Living Siege. Gary Con 2027 will be our launch day for that. And what we're doing, we all talked about our friend Travis. We've adapted Full Metal Tilt into Living Siege, where Full Metal Tilt is the official jousting rules for Living Siege. I'm working with Travis right now about just changing it up so it meets the Siege engine requirements for the hand-to-hand combat, which is going to be pretty simple. But so every jousting tournament in the world of Aird will be using Travis's rules for Full Metal Tilt.
That's
awesome.
Incredible.
Pretty
Congrats
cool.
to you, Frank. Congrats to Travis. I hope that I
One-to-one time clubhouse play, brother.
Yes,
it's coming to the
dude.
big time.
If I had a trophy, this is where I'd put it. We're gonna have FMT trophies, dude. It's gonna be great.
All right,
That's
Paddy,
awesome.
do you have any announcements besides the
Not
fact that you
necessarily.
lost your stream?
Right. We got White Shark Quarterly, issue number 5. We have crossed the threshold of over a year. I'm really excited for what's going on with this. Mrs. Parlor, she lended her beauty so that way I can draw a bunch of cartoon, funny looking dudes hanging out with her in a very Who Framed Roger Rabbit Cool World style. We got some really great interviews, article from Mrs. Parlor. We've got battle reports, painting tutorials, so on and so forth. So check out White Shark Quarterly over at Substack from Space Shark 23.
Michael, I owe a battle report. We got to get that done.
Okay. Yeah, just tell me about it. I know we have on the 10th, we have Tony on for some Dystopian Dawn character creation for his new Perils of Gold adventure through. He's running us through on the 12th. I know the 24th, we have the Emperor's Choice guys in to talk about all the new cool stuff for Arduin that they're doing. So that's super exciting. Saturday the 5th, we're doing Sovereign Rule, Altair the Blues game. Vicky and Dean will be joining us for that. They, after doing that indie game spotlight, they're like, we gotta be there, we gotta be in, we gotta play. This is so fascinating. And I was like, but just so you know, it'll be Jeremy running it, and he's the worst DM ever. So it's not Altair, but it should be super cool.
Hey, they
Chubby
gave me all the
Funster,
stuff.
We're trying to schedule some stuff with. He's in. We're just trying to pick a date to get some of his stuff run. We'll have to get Frank back on to talk to about some of this exciting news for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And right, and Jeremy does like to wargame on here every once in a while, and we'll set up the cameras and the tables. So Miranda, if you ever wanna run a war game, or if you ever want to be in a war game, or you just want to play D&D, like, you're always invited as well. We have some random tabletop simulator crazy games
Oh my gosh,
that I'm working on right now. So Harmony, if you're still out there, that game is happening. Conquering Cronan. It's getting real close. We have the Paddy's Parlor game that we've been playing. And then over on Jeremy's channel, we do tabletop simulator games on Monday. We're doing Zombicide. Sometimes we do RPGs. Sometimes we do bad. I don't know about bad movies on YouTube. We might have to only do that on Rumble.
That's only on Rumble.
We'll see.
I don't even think we can
on
do
Rumble.
We can't even do the movies I want to do on Rumble.
Fun.
So the bad movies I want to do, I don't think we can do on Rumble now because I think there's
Too many boobies.
Yeah.
Is that the? Yeah, we just got to
I
pick.
was
We can
gonna
bleep
pick
one.
boobies.
I will.
Yeah, you gotta-
I will pre-record one, and we will go through with the black bar.
All right.
And we
Because
will.
the next movie we're gonna do was Barbarian Queen, and I watched it, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is like a freaking softcore porn.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, we gotta bleep that out and put like really awkward elevator music, and it'll let you guys catch up to the commentary. But I was gonna say we gotta get disembodied voice and painted flow, like especially if you do anything that's horror adjacent. We need to get.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, need
It's
to.
Right,
This is
right.
bad fantasy movies, sir.
And if
Yeah.
you have a stream you'd like to see or do here, if you have a game you want to talk about, a product you want to talk about, you have something you want to run, you see something you want to play in, like this whole thing was Frank's idea. He was on Jousting and he's like, yeah, we need to meet and do a State of the Hobby roundtable. So if you reach out to any of us with your idea, with whatever, we'll get it on the calendar. We'll make it happen. Nothing is too lame for this channel. So hit us up.
All right.
Did I miss anything?
You did. The last big announcement that's not huge. Well, this Saturday we are streaming. It's a surprise stream. It is an RPG.
Oh, that's true.
And
It's a
Michael
surprise, so I don't know what
Michael
it is.
Cyrus will be making their character live on stream, and then they'll be running through an adventure. Patty already knows what it is. So don't spoil it,
Nice.
Patty.
I wonder
All
if
right.
I don't. He tells me these things, and I'm like,
All right. Now, also, it is 4 days left of the month. 8, 9, 4 days left of the month. You have 4 days left to submit your monster for the Monster Jam.
And
So
we
if
do
you
have
a
some
monster-
submissions.
If you
We
have a
do
monster
have
out
some
there
submissions.
that you think could be summoned by a cult or by a tribe of orcs or whoever you want to have it summon it, we need the monster. It's stat blocks for whatever game system you want to put it in. The summoning ritual is a bonus, and the people that are summoning it is a bonus, and that will help us determine who wins the Monster Jam. First place gets their awesome art drawn by Paddy O'Cakes himself, and I believe we possibly still got a runner-up drawing by Mrs. Parlor.
yeah, maybe she hasn't committed yet, but she did float the idea that if we have a hard time
And
deciding
secret.
between two.
Mrs. Parlor's actually the better artist.
I've never said otherwise. She's incredible.
So,
Be the runner-up.
Get those submissions in to Paddy at his X account, or if you're on his Rumble, drop them in his Rumble.
Or Discord. Discord works fine too. Just DM it to me somehow, some way.
I meant Discord, not Rumble. I'm the worst. That's why they call me the worst DM ever. I think that's all my announcements, right? Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate the.
Yeah, thank you for coming. It was a pleasure to finally kind of get to talk to
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if you caught our last Saturday game, Miranda, but your photo in the
Oh, I saw it
dungeon,
on Twitter.
right?
that's great.
That was the trigger for the trap.
Oh.
They spun your photo and the trap door opened and they were able to escape the undead.
Oh.
Nice.
And then Miranda, you have the dates for Valhalla for next year, but the link is not live to order tickets yet.
Correct. April 18th, I believe. Let me make sure.
I remember it's around Ingrid's birthday. I want to say you had it from the 18th to the 23rd.
Yeah, because it's
That
always
sounds right.
Monday to Friday. So yeah,
18th to the
18th
23rd.
to the 23rd. That's it.
So have we yet
yeah.
convinced Professor Dungeon Master to go?
Oh.
Have we
We're
convinced him
working
that
it.
he's going this time?
I'm
Okay.
Messaging him.
Him and Dan Dungeon Master Johnny was super interested as well.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Oh, we have
right.
some great RPGs there, and there's some beautiful spaces. I mean,
So
Jeremy did a really great job this last time.
as long as I don't have to run them.
You did great.
He likes running games. Don't let him fool you. And he is getting better. He was the worst. Now he's got to be 10th worst. He's getting better and better. We haven't gotten him full funny voice yet, but he's getting
He's
there.
moving up the scale.
He's getting
Yeah.
he's moving up the
Mediocre
scales.
here.
I don't do voices. I'm not a theater kid.
Oh.
All right.
Well,
right.
thanks,
Well, folks,
thanks for the
let's
it
opportunity.
was
that
an absolute
outro.
pleasure, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Heck yeah. Thanks, guys.
Beautiful, friendly end of a bombastic stream, the end. But fun doesn't have to end, my friend, because lives are always on.